Okay, by the way, ladies and gentlemen of the Amber Army YouTube channel, I'm here with county legend and former captain Keith Oakes. Keith, thank you very much for joining me.
Pleasure, Chris.
Nice man. So, former captain, former Ironside. As you already know, I've spoken to Kevin Moore before. The significance for me to talk to you guys is the fact that because I'm like your new age county fan, you know, I'm an Exiles fan. I wasn't around for the Ironsides. I was born in '84. Funny enough, the year that you left. And
Right, oh dear.
sorry, I'm not trying to make you
feel old. That makes me feel old.
Oh, sorry, I'm not meaning to do that at all. But it's great for me because I hear so many good stories from some of our older supporters of how great things were back in your day at the county. You know, it really means a lot for someone like myself to talk to someone like you, so I get a feel for what it was like for yourself as a player.
Yeah.
So I'll jump straight into it if that's okay with you, mate.
Yeah, of course.
First question I've got is that you joined us from Peterborough in 1978. Why Newport at that time?
Well, it was the best and as it turned out, a good option for me. I had chances. I mean, at that time to go. Before that time to go to Workington, they offered, I think, $2.5 grand for me. Apparently, the 2 or 3 years before that. And at that time, 78, Kettering was interested. Who, you know, an ex-player I played with, or two of them actually, was manager and assistant manager there. But I didn't want to go out of the league anyway. So, funny enough, we had a reserve game at Brentford one afternoon, 2 days before I signed, actually. It was an afternoon game at Brentford, and Leonard apparently come to watch me. He stood behind the goal, apparently, with no crowd there. And was actually talking to our goalkeeper, who was our reserve manager, Jim Barron, who was a good player in his time, a good keeper, and was asking him questions during the game, apparently. I mean, I didn't know this until, a few months after. As it turned out, the night after that, I think that was a Tuesday afternoon. On the Wednesday night, I think Peterborough were playing Middlesbrough in the cup game or something. And Len was at the game and wanted to sign me. So, you know, he made his decision fairly quickly, like. So, I decided to come down the next day, which was on the Thursday. I think I made my debut, was it September, wasn't it? So my debut was at Reading on the Saturday, I think.
It is. So obviously you ended up becoming captain of the club. In 1980, you obviously captained the club to promotion and to the Welsh Cup, obviously winning the Welsh Cup. So what was it like, especially as captain, to have such a successful season?
Brilliant. Yeah, I mean, we'd finished well the year before. When I went there, September 78, we had quite a good season. That's, that year. And I think we finished 6th or 7th. We finished the season quite strongly, which I suppose, when you look at nowadays, when clubs finish the season before very well, they seem to go on and have a good season the following year. And that seemed to happen that year, you know. And to be captain of for that season was fantastic, you know.
And obviously, you won the 4th Division PFA. You were in the 4th Division PFA Team of the Year as well. So
Funny enough, I was looking on. I googled it the other day and seeing what players was in the team. You know, so and there was some good players around in them days. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was. I mean, to fit for people. You know, if you're not your colleagues, but your adversaries or whatever you like, your opponents, to pick you into a team that was the best in the league, apparently, was really, a great thing, really.
So would you say overall that was probably the best season of your career?
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. Without a doubt. Yeah.
So obviously the following year, we had a great Cup Winners' Cup campaign. How unlucky were we in that game against Carl Icena?
Well, I mean, I still watch clips of it today, and how we lost the game, I don't know to this day. We were very unfortunate. I mean, if VAR was around these days, I think, we'd have been, sitting here differently, talking about maybe getting to the final, or, I don't know. But we were so unfortunate. I think the refereeing and, the linesmen were poor on the night.
Yeah.
And the keeper made some good saves. Unfortunately, we give away a sloppy goal and paid for it, really. But it was a tremendous season. Some good games, crowds especially as well. Some fantastic crowds, and the support was fantastic.
Yeah. So obviously, I said I spoke to Kevin Moore, and he mentioned how special it was to play at Somerton Park. How special was it for you to play there?
Well, I mean, I think on that night we had 18,000. And to get that many in there, the place was rocking, really, and there's a great atmosphere. I mean, the ground's very open, obviously, as you know, but the crowd was superb, really, fantastic, and and it lifted you, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously yourself, players like Kevin, John, Tommy, obviously made up a great team. But how important was the manager, Len Ashurst, to that success back then?
Tremendous. I mean, obviously Len bought me, and he bought nearly all of us into the club anyway, so he was a great manager. He had a great way of dealing with people in different ways. And he had this aura about him, and funny. You probably found it seem different, funny to what I'm saying here, but he had a funny side to him. He was very very funny at times, without knowing it, and even looking at him at times, it was funny.
There's a bit of I don't know whether it's a myth or whether it's true, but there's something documented somewhere that you once, whilst playing for us, you once played 30 minutes in a game with a broken arm. Is that true? And if so, which game is it? Because I can't seem to find which game it was meant to be.
I broke my arm against Rochdale at home.
So it's true then.
This would have been, I don't know, late 78, early 79. Yes, and yeah, it hurt.
I can imagine. I broke my arm before.
The night game against Rochdale, I'm sure it was. Yeah.
And you played 30 minutes with your arm broken?
Yeah, it was tender,
Bloody hell. I mean, you wouldn't expect any players today to do that, would you?
To tell the truth, I don't know how long it was, but I wasn't counting. But it was sore.
I bet it felt like a lot longer than 30 minutes, though.
When you're in pain, it does, yeah.
Yeah. So obviously you're a Hall of Famer. You know, what does that mean to you? Obviously, to be in the Newport County Hall of Fame.
Well, I'm in there with some tremendous players, obviously. So you know, to be picked to go into the Hall of Fame was you know, brilliant. You know, a brilliant achievement, and it's living with the rest of my life. You know.
Absolutely, yeah. So, do you still follow the progress of the club today?
Yeah. So, it's the first result I look for. It always
Mm-hmm.
has been since I left, and it always will be. Tremendous time.
So how did Newport suit you as a city to live in then? And how did you get on with the people?
Oh, I mean, when we first went there, we lived in Killeen.
Oh, nice.
That's the first place we lived. We rented a place there,
Mm-hmm.
and fortunately for me, the club wanted to re-sign me on a 3-year contract, which enabled us to buy an house in Durham Road, which is
Okay.
off Killeen Road, obviously. So we bought an house there and settled down there very well, you know. And you know, I think I like, you know, the people in Newport are fantastic. I mean, you know, and today I still keep in touch with people there, you know. So
Oh, fair play. I was going to ask if you keep in touch with anybody still from Newport.
yes, I do. Yeah, I mean, people on the street we lived in, and a great friend of mine, Terry Mercy, who still keeps in touch with me now, you know. So.
So, in 1984, then you moved on to Gillingham. If I'm right in my sort of history, you know, of Gillingham during the 80s, you joined them at a time when they were putting together a pretty special team. You know, they're picking up a lot of good youngsters, and I believe Tony Cascarino was one of them. Am I thinking of the right sort of time in the 80s there?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Well, I think I replaced Steve Bruce, who went to Norwich.
Okay.
That
Not too
season or
bad.
the season before. So that was a thing to fill, you know. But I mean, I spent 2 years there, and we had 2 good seasons. I mean, I know we should have gone up when we was at Newport. Obviously, went top at Easter time at Newport in '83. And we should have we should have got promoted that season. For some reason, obviously we weren't good enough because we failed. But the 2 years I had in at Gillingham were very good. Well, I mean, I think we finished 5th, 4th, or 5th and 6th. You know, the 2 seasons I was there. You know, and we had some good players there.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of London lads, obviously. Some very good players.
Yeah.
And Cap one of them, you know.
Yeah, of course, because he ended up moving on to Millwall then.
Yeah, I
With
mean,
that 86, I think.
Millwall, Villa was it, and Chelsea. So
Yeah.
and obviously Ireland, you know.
So, obviously, you moved to a London team then following that. You joined Fulham in 1986 then. If I'm right, they got relegated from Division 2 to Division 3 the season before you joined them.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, yeah,
I'm not doing too bad, am I? Fair play.
yeah.
Right. So, so obviously you joined them when they just got relegated. Was the initial aim to get promoted again?
I think when I first went there, we had a lot of young players there at that time, and it was an hard season. The first season I was there, the club was in a bit of a mess. And as I say, young lads get you so far, but not over the line, if you know what I mean. But as I say, it was a tough season, and we struggled really. But the following season, Jimmy Hill took over, was chairman with a consortium of some sort, with some backers, and we had a very good season and really should have gone up in that season.
Mm.
But failed again. Finished, I think, 5th in the league. Obviously, that year, I don't think there was any playoffs. But no, we had a good season and should have gone up because we had some good players. Obviously, Paul Parker was there.
All right, yeah.
Clive Walker, Dean Coney, Gordon Davis, Leroy Rosinia, Jeff Hopkins, who went on to do better things, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But
Players there.
they had some good players.
Mm. So then, obviously, then it was back to Peterborough in '88. Was it a personal sort of aim of yours to go back there?
Well, the situation at the time, looking back, it was a mistake. I probably shouldn't have gone back there. I had a chance to go to Grimsby.
Oh, right.
Doncaster. And maybe Grimsby would have been a better choice.
Mm.
It's funny. I went up to talk to Keith, to Alan Buckley, and sold the club to me. And but unfortunately, at the time, my mother-in-law was quite ill, so that made it. That was a decision which was hard, and in the end, we went back to Peterborough. You know.
Yeah. So did you enjoy I think, was it Boston you finished your career with then?
I played one game for Boston.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, that's all. I mean, Peter Morris, who was manager at the time, was an ex-manager at Peterborough, and he was struggling for players. I mean, he a lot of injuries apparently, and I played one game for them against Kettering, which was okay, you know.
No, okay.
I played 4 or 5 games at Corby actually. They asked me to play there for a while, so I played 4 or 5 games for there with Matt Lawrenson, in fact, who was, you know, one of my managers at Peterborough when I went back. So he was involved there as well.
So you look back on your career, you know, did you reflect particularly well on your career as a player?
I think so, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I made a good total of appearances and played with some very good players, you know, top class players.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you make poor decisions through your career, you know, or your life, and I've made 1 or 2 of them. But on the whole, I've enjoyed it and met some good people, and played with some very good players, top class players.
Yeah. So I'm going to get back to the players that you played with and played against. It's a question I ask everybody, but I always leave out until the very last. But after your playing career ended, obviously you ended up getting your bachelor's degree to become a physiotherapist. So was that always your plan during your playing career, that was what you wanted to do when you finished playing?
Well, that came about when I was at Gillingham. Keith Peacock was doing the similar sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And got talking to him really, and he sort of sold it to me really. So from that point on, I started studying and, you know, and reading, and
Mm-hmm.
Obviously when you've had injuries through your career, you know what things feel like and what sort of discomfort or pain you get. So it started from there really, you know. So from sort of 85, 86, it continued onwards.
Excellent. So I know you've had a few physio jobs in football, but the last I like to see documented was up to 2010. I mean, has there been any further work in physiotherapy from there?
Yes, I rejoined Lincoln as on a part-time basis to help the physio was there at the time, Kevin Oxby, who I'd known previously when I was there. they asked me to come back on my days off from work. So I work 4 days on, 4 days off. So on my 4 days off, I used to go in there and help Kevin.
Oh, excellent. So I was going to get to the point of obviously what you're up to now. So what do you do now then?
Well, I work for Dixon's Car Phone.
Okay.
And it's a warehouse job, you know. So yeah, fetching and carrying things, and that's all. Locating things, you know. It's a bit mundane, but it's a job at the moment. I've got 2 years to work, so
You're nearing the magic age then, are you?
Hey?
Nearing the magic age where you can call it a day.
Hopefully, yeah, less than 2 years, hopefully. With a bit of luck.
Yeah, and so coming on to my final question then, Keith, as I mentioned earlier, who is the best player you played with and the best player you played against during your playing career?
Well, I've played, obviously I played against George Best, Bobby Moore.
Oh.
When I mean, I had the opportunity to play against Fulham in '76 in an FA Cup game, League Cup game, sorry. Obviously one at Craven Cottage and the second leg at Peterborough. So obviously Rodney Marsh was in that team as well. So that they were top class players. Obviously, maybe past the best then. I don't know, but you know, in their time they were brilliant players.
Oh yeah, well they did.
And funny enough, I played with Glenn Hoddle in a benefit match for Gordon Davis at Fulham. And that was actually against the Welsh team.
Really?
So, you know, to play with him was a fun. I know I've seen him play, obviously, on the telly and live, because he played for Swindon as a player manager.
Yeah.
And he was just a fantastic player, really.
Absolutely, yeah.
2 great feet, obviously, and you could pass in the ball anywhere on the pitch where he was. So you know, fortunately, I've played with him and played against, obviously, the 3 I mentioned.
Yeah, brilliant. So, Keith, that's all I got for you then, mate. So, thanks again for joining me.
I haven't mentioned the people at Newport, obviously, the players.
Oh, of course.
I mean, there were some good players there. There were top players. Obviously,
yeah.
We mentioned Cascarina, Aldridge, Tynan, Kevin Moore was top class. Richard Wald. I mean, all of them were brilliant players.
I really hope one day it's never going to happen, but hopefully one day someone will invent a time machine and I can use it and I can actually go back and sample you guys in action, because you know, I feel cheated that, you know, I wasn't born early enough to have gone down to Somerton Park and watched you all play. But you know, what really means a lot to me now is I'm able to talk to you and actually get a bit of an understanding of how things were for you back then. So, Keith, thank you very much for joining me, mate. And
pleasure, Chris.
All the best and take care. Cheers, mate.
Okay, bye. Bye.
Bye. Many thanks for watching the latest content on the Amber Army channel. Please make sure you leave us a like. Make sure you subscribe for more content, both for the neutral football fan and also plenty of Newport County. Even more Newport County content can be found on the club's iFollow channel on the link above. It is just £4.49 per month to subscribe to that service. And those of you feeling extra generous can also support us on Patreon on the link at the bottom there. That would be a monthly donation of your choice. Thank you again. Make sure you've subscribed, and as always, up the county.